And thanks for staying with us here on Morning Live. Now, the BRICS Business Forum 2020, which includes China, Russia, Brazil, India and South Africa, begins today and it will take place virtually. The value of collaboration with BRICS partner countries to accelerate South Africa's economic recovery couldn't be more pertinent given the current pandemic and its effects. Now, in addition, there's also a newly formed structure called the Business Women's Alliance. So to discuss this further, we joined by Busi Mabuza, who's the chairperson of the South African chapter of the Brics Business Council, and Lerato Mataboge, who is the Deputy Director General for Export Development, Promotion and Outward Investments at the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. And this, of course, is a key participant in BRICS. Ladies, thank you so much for your time and welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you so much.
Busi, let me start with you. Please just give us a quick overview of the BRICS Business Forum before we discuss the importance of the value to Team South Africa's agenda as well as the key focal points.
So ordinarily, Sakina, the BRICS Business Forum is held on the eve of the summit of the 5 heads of state. And in this case, because none of us can travel under the circumstances, the presidents are going to be holding their virtual summit in November, I believe on the 17th. And the BRICS Business Council is therefore gathering all business leaders from the 5 nations over a period of 4 days, starting this afternoon, and the time is absolutely fantastic for South Africa because it is between 1400 hours and 1600 hours. If people go to our website, sabricsbusinesscouncil.co.za, you'll find all the information. There are 3 sessions per day, so we are spoiled for choice in terms of what we can participate in.
Lerato, the importance of this forum specifically to the Department of Trade and Industry, can we speak about that briefly?
Absolutely, Sakina. The BRICS Business Forum is a strategic pillar in terms of the architecture, the economic architecture of our BRICS participation. We've got the BRICS Business Council, BRICS Business Forum, then BRICS Summit. So the 3 literally are the pillars on which our economic collaboration stands. What makes the BRICS Business Forum important is that it creates a platform for government and business sectors and business representatives from all the BRICS countries to come together and have a conversation about strategic agenda items that are pertinent to the development of the BRICS nations as a collective and individually. So for ourselves as South Africa, it's important that we have this conversation in the context of post-COVID recovery that every country in the world is grappling with. So it's about how do we leverage this partnership to support and enable us on this trajectory to recovery as South Africa. So we'll be talking issues of how do we strengthen intra-BRICS trade, particularly value-added trade. How do we begin?
Right, that picture seemed to have frozen there. Our apologies for that, and we will come back to Lerato as soon as we've sorted that out. But Busi, let me come back to you. What is the value of BRICS to Team South Africa's agenda, and what are some of the key focal points, do you believe?
Sakina, so first of all, if you look at the BRICS nations, you're looking at over 40% of the world's population, around 30% of global GDP, expected to grow to around 50% in the next 10 years. So these are fast-growing economies. South Africa needs to be there. The continent needs to be there for those opportunities. In a post-recovery environment, of course, all of us have taken lessons learned and are looking to apply those. This forum is going to be an opportunity for us to engage on various issues, be they healthcare, be they digital economy and innovation, the green economy, the role of PPPs and infrastructure investment in recovery for the various economies. For South Africa Incorporated, we are positioning this as an opportunity for us to tell the BRICS nations, our partners, and the rest of the world that South Africa, and indeed the continent, is open for business. This, Sakina, if I may use the opportunity to just indicate that this is leading up to the flagship event of the country and the presidency, the investor conference, which comes up in November. So no better time for SA business and SA government to be telling the world that we are open for business, there are opportunities, and we'd like you to come and invest.
And many South Africans, Busi, though, would be sitting there thinking, so how does this benefit us, ordinary folk on the street? You talk about investor conferences, you talk about leveraging on our association and our partnership of BRICS, but how does that filter down to the ordinary South African?
Very practical example, Sakina. The new development bank, which some, I think, like to refer to as the BRICS Bank, that is a formation that came out of such engagements. Now we have an office of the new development bank in South Africa that is looking and actually funding opportunities, infrastructure opportunities in Southern Africa and the rest of the continent. However, since November 2019, there was a decision made that the NDB will be funding the private sector directly. So I would say business people, entrepreneurs with sizable and meaningful opportunities, especially that talk to regional integration and that talk to an inclusive economy, please approach such a structure. In addition, Sakina, may I just urge the entrepreneurs to go and visit the respective sessions, because that's where the ideas are shared, and we will then be able to say, as a chapter of the BRICS Business Council, please assist us link up with such and such a business in India or in Russia or in China, because we believe that there will be benefit for us as South African entrepreneurs.
Now, Lerato, if I can just come back to you, if you can just tell us more about the value of collaboration with our BRICS partner countries in order to accelerate economic recovery, because that, of course, is the big issue right now for the world, but especially for us in South Africa. We were already having a hard time before the advent of this pandemic. So how are we going to leverage on this?
Oh, certainly, Sakina, BRICS is quite an important formation in our view to help us navigate this crisis that we have of COVID. We believe that broadly regionalism, multilateralism are a necessary response to any crisis. So working together as a collective, first and foremost, is quite critical. Number two, already at the beginning of that, we had quite a number of BRICS countries standing up and making a contribution to assisting us to navigate the crisis. As a result, we are now leveraging the post-COVID recovery strategy through having these business conversations to say, post-technical support to navigate the crisis, we need to have sustainable investments, we need to have sustainable trade, we need to have sustainable projects that can be job creators, particularly in South Africa, particularly in the African economies. So we're having conversations about where the opportunities lie, where BRICS countries can partner with in a sustainable manner for our own South Africa and for the continental growth and continental development.
Lerato, that connection really not great, and I do apologize as well to our viewers, because what you're saying is so important, and we're just struggling with the quality of that connection. But let's just talk very briefly about the newly formed BRICS Business Women's Alliance and how exactly that will work, and what will its specific value be. Let me start with you on that, Busi.
So we're very excited, Sakina, and I wouldn't want to take the thunder away. Of course, the Ministry of Small Business Development is mandated as the anchor sponsor to the BRICS Women's Alliance. However, we have women of substance, women of an incredible track record heading up the BRICS Business Women's Alliance, and they are going to be linking in a couple of days with their counterparts in the BRICS countries, forging collaboration and looking for opportunities on behalf of South African women entrepreneurs. I think they would be delighted to have an opportunity, Sakina, to please just share some of the platforms that they are going to be presenting. I'm proud to say that in addition to these women who will be presenting on behalf of the BRICS Women's Alliance, SA Inc. has 60% representation of women in the various platforms that we're going to be having over the next 4 days. And we look forward to a collaboration with the Women's Alliance, of course, which is very important for us as SA Inc.
And Lerato, as the Department of Trade and Industry, of course, you would want as many women, involved in this as possible at various levels, of course. How are you going about that, making sure that you can actually expand and bring in as many people as possible?
We're working very closely with the Department of Small Business because we're mindful that representation of women has to span the whole gamut from small to large businesses. So we are mobilizing for our women businesses to begin to pay more attention to contributing to the BRICS agenda. And for us to make sure, we're working together with the Alliance to make sure that we do an outreach program that's going to make sure that women businesses are aware of this alliance. They're aware of a platform they can leverage to tap into opportunities in the BRICS and to also shape the policy agenda. I think the most important part as well, over and above investment opportunities and trade, is about how do we shape the policy agenda for the BRICS for sustainable development for South Africa and, of course, the continent broadly.
What platforms would you use, though, in order to make that a reality, Lerato? Because you have so many women out there hustling, trying to get foot onto the ladder, but very often access is a hurdle.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the key things that as a department we are contributing towards is our exporter development program. We are mindful that a number of women-owned businesses also suffer from lack of market access, and global market access being one of them, access into economies like the BRICS being one of them. So we actually, as a government, provide technical support to individual businesses around how do you trade in global markets, what are the regulatory requirements, and how do we assist you to meet them. So that's part of our contribution to say we want to build sustainable companies in South Africa that are competitive, that are internationally oriented. So over and above the exporter development part, we've got export promotion program where we incentivize a number of companies to
centralization versus decentralization and so on and so forth. And I can
I'm so sorry, not sure. We just had something else bleed in there.
The fact that...
Our apologies for that. But Lerato, if you could just conclude your point there, because I think it's very important.
Yes, I wanted to make the point that we also offer support to businesses, particularly women-owned businesses, youth-owned businesses, around export promotion. So over and above helping you to become export ready, we then assist you to access markets by promotion activities, whether it's a trade fair, it's a trade pavilion, it's a trade mission. Increasingly now, we are looking at digital promotion of South African goods and services. So we'll be providing greater access to a wider audience in South Africa, and we'll be making announcements in that regard in the near future around how businesses can leverage our digital marketing platforms for the world and how, as government, we support them financially and technically.
Busi, I tell you we are going to hold Lerato to that. We're going to hold you to your part of it as well, because we really want to be partners in this to make sure that people, women and ordinary South Africans in general actually benefit from all of these collaborations. But a final question to you, Busi, a similar question to what I've just asked Lerato in terms of access. How are you going to make sure that more ordinary South Africans actually have access to the BRICS Business Council and what it offers?
Sakina, so the South African chapter, the BRICS Business Council works through 9 working groups, and these are sector focused. And these working groups are already on the ground. We have people who are involved, who are, in addition to running their own businesses, looking for opportunities for SA Inc., and making sure that these are made available to stakeholders. We've had roadshows pre-COVID to various provinces. We look forward to going to other provinces as soon as things settle down in the country. And there, Sakina, we interact directly with the entrepreneurs on the ground. I would urge those of us who are on digital platforms as well to please visit our website, SA BRICS Business Council. Please contact us. Our contact details are there. If there's any way we can help you penetrate those large markets or find opportunities to bring to the country, please reach out to us.
And as I said, I'm going to hold both of you. Please keep us in the loop so that we can actually put the message out to South Africa. But thank you so much, Busi Mabuza, Chairperson of the South African chapter of the BRICS Business Council, and Lerato Mataboge, who's the Deputy Director General for Export Development, Promotion and Outward Investment at the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. Both of them discussing this year's BRICS Business Forum. And as you hear, you'll have access to it, and we'll try and share those details as well. Let's take a quick break before we close the show.